Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where in the world you happen to be. My name is Christopher Harrison. This is 15 Minutes to Merge, the show where we bring on really, really smart people to help answer your questions. And one of the most common questions that I get asked when I'm talking with enterprise customers is, hey, how can we actually measure the impact that GitHub Copilot is having? That we've turned this on, we've rolled it out. How do we know, kind of are our developers using it? How much is it helping them out? And also maybe, hey, we've started rolling this out and we've noticed that our adoption isn't quite what we would have hoped for. Is there anything you can help us out with? And fortunately, I've got the person who can answer all of those questions. I'm joined today by Ya Gao, who's our senior researcher focused in on GitHub Copilot and the impact that it has. Ya, thank you so very much for joining.
Thank you, Christopher, for having me here. And hello, everyone. I'm Ya.
And welcome, welcome. So let's let's start here. Let's start with a very generic question, which is, how should an organization best monitor their developers? That I remember kind of the bad old days when it was just simply, hey, how much code did you generate? That's obviously not a really good strategy. What is a good strategy? How can we start to measure this?
That's a really good question. And I got this question as a researcher a lot, especially when we have a tons of researcher in the developer productivity space and developing different framework to really trying to tackle this question. So it's not an easy one. And because of that, we have a lot of different frameworks in the industry, in academia, DARA, TEM, technical acceptance model. We have SPACE, which is the one that we use a lot here at GitHub. If you go to the GitHub blog, you can see our researchers from Next, from our customer research team. We have done research based on the framework, but using more granular metrics based on what we are trying to study.
Okay. Well, the name sounds great of space, but I'm guessing it's not going to involve like launching rockets or anything like that. What is space?
Well, we're not rocket science, but also it's important. This is a very important space, and I can talk about the space framework a little bit. So space stands for basically 5 different measurements we use or categories we use. S stands for satisfaction and well-being. P stands for performance. A stands for activities. C stands for communication and collaboration, and E stands for efficiency and flow. So under these categories, we'll have different measurement. It could be a qualitative measurement or a perceived measurement, like asking our developers how you think you're doing on certain tasks, or it could be a telemetry. So we're actually measuring in the back end on the DevOps platform to understand their specific like how many builds they've done before and after, like how many comments or like the PRs, all that. So yeah, so these are kind of the kind of baseline or the framework we think about developer productivities.
Okay, so we're really trying to get a more holistic view of a developer and what it is they're doing, and not just simply how much code they're churning out.
Exactly.
So with Space Framework then, how am I going to use that to measure the impact that GitHub Copilot has? And what's some of the initial data that we're actually seeing in working with customers when it comes to Space Framework and the impact that GitHub Copilot has?
Yeah, so up to till now, we have done, I don't know, like 10 researches on different
wow.
aspects, different perspective, and try to understand this question. We start with trying to understand individual productivities in a lab setting, because we want to get very accurate measurement, and we only control like one variables in that lab study, and trying to understand how it impact individual. And that was like 2022 or 2000, like last year. That's what we've been doing. And time move fast. We have very pace that AI just, evolve very quickly. So as a company, we really to figure out how does Copilot benefits to the entire organization, and we have to have a way to measure it. So recently, we have been working with Microsoft internal developers, GitHub internal developers, but most importantly, we work with our customers externally to really like gathering this like all the different metrics based on the space framework. And if you pay attention to the GitHub Universe last year, we actually published a really awesome like study results. We collaborate with Accenture. So we basically have controlled an experiment group within their organization. So for experiment group, we'll have the team get access to Copilot, and the control group does not, right? But they are still doing the same job. We're not intervening what they're doing. So at the end of the 6 months of research, we actually look at their overall telemetries. So we have a survey to understand how their satisfaction, well-being, right? Like, what do you think about Copilot in your daily usage, in daily code sessions and usage? And we also look at the DevOps platform metrics, and we see improvement comments, builds and build success rate, and also the total PR, the total productivities across teams. So this is really big for us and give us a lot of confidence to go in to measure at team level, and also thinking about how we can scale this in the future.
Okay, that's really interesting. The one that you called out that I want to go just a little bit further with is that build success rate. So the team that had access to Copilot had an improved build success rate. And this kind of goes to one of the biggest questions that I also get asked is, what's the quality of code that Copilot generates? And it would seem to me anyway that if we're seeing an increased build success rate, that the code is going to be very good quality that GitHub Copilot is suggesting.
Yeah, that's right on. So basically, we because we monitor like almost like 30 or 40 different metrics, so we have a really holistic understanding of how they're doing as a team. So while the total pull request and total workload increase, the successful rate of the builds and the number of the builds increase, indicating that it's not only an increase in their total productivity, but also the quality of work, is also, I would say, like it didn't get impact or negative impact, right? And success rate is definitely an indicator. And also, my teammate Jared conducted research, is also published on the GitHub blog post. So if you're interested, please check it out. It's awesome research on Copilot chat for code review and the code quality. So we basically give our developer same type of task for them to do, and at the same time we have like other developers to review the code they generated. So they do a peer review, and then we have a rubric on code quality to rate the code written by Copilot and the code written without Copilot. And we definitely see really good results from there too. So yeah. Overall, whether it's Copilot chat or Copilot at the team level, we both see very positive signals.
I love that. That's great to hear. That's great to hear. So all of this really shows that enabling GitHub Copilot has a positive impact on developers and development. I guess the next question is what would you tell organizations who have maybe rolled out Copilot and they saw like all of the early adopters get very excited about it, they all signed up, they're all using it, And then you're starting to see a bit of a plateau where you have a lot of other developers that haven't yet started using the tool. What would you say to organizations to help them out, to help them overcome that plateau?
Yeah, this is definitely a question our research, our product team, and our sales team are all think about all day long. And we, not surprisingly, as researcher, we've conducted a research on that too. Um, so this research is actually done in collaboration with the Microsoft team, and we specifically studied the rollout for Microsoft last year, and we're trying to understand, what are the things that we could do to promote or increase the adoption, and the finding is very surprisingly simple. Some of the finding from there, and also I have two additional advice I could give based on what we learned for now. So from the study, a little bit of background. So we we enabled the Copilot internally with Microsoft developers around like October, like 2000, I think 2022, and then we didn't really do a lot of promotion or nudging or anything, right? So the initial adoption rate is like around like 86%, which is not that great. But that's naturally like when you release something without like, training or anything, like that's what it looks like. And then in February, we actually start sending out just very simple email reminders and saying, hey, you actually have access to this. You can sign up for Copilot. And with very simple introduction to Copilot and a couple resources for them to look at. And then within about like 2 weeks, the adoption rate increased from 86% to 35%. Just a simple email. We didn't do
So you're telling me, just bothering people, hey, we're trying to reach you about your car's extended warranty. You're telling me that worked?
It works. And we have data to support
that. I would never believe that if you didn't have the data.
Yeah, so that's definitely the easiest way to do that. So within your 30 to 6 days initial adoption, try to space out these reminder emails for your group. So they just like maybe when they first you first launch, they just didn't see it, or they were busy with something else, right? So I think that is the number one tips I will give to our clients. And also the second one is more investment into the adoption process, which is holding at least 1 to 2 formal trainings at least to the team you're adopting to. Even better if it's like a company-wide training. And also, if possible, extend some office hours to the team and let them know they have support for this, right? If there's any question they didn't get answered at the initial introduction, or they have more questions specific to our organization, they know where to find you and how to get support. Because when you introduce something new to the users, they have one set of questions, right? How to install it, and how do I use it, and permission, all that. But once they start using it, they will have different set of questions that's more related to your organization. So that's when you do need support for them.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. I think one of the things about GitHub Copilot is like so often it can feel like magic, and then we basically sort of wind up forgetting the fact that, hey, this is a tool. This is a tool just like your IDE. I wouldn't roll out a new IDE without training my staff. And the same certainly holds true then for anything else, including GitHub Copilot.
Yep, and also on top of the the two tips I just talked about, within your organization, think about who are the kind of the influencer or people who have thought leadership over like, adopting AI and is well loved by your organization. Maybe someone like a distinguished developer, technical person. This is actually important, and we actually also study about this. So according to the technical acceptance model, having like a figure in your organization or in your domain who supports a use of a new tooling, new information is very, very influential to the people who are considering adopting it. Because if someone who's successful in this environment using it and adopt it, and maybe I should think about it. So so that's when you're organizing workshops or trying to make sure this email goes well, maybe leveraging the power of these people within your organization.
Okay. That also, I think, makes a lot of sense. Also seems pretty straightforward. Mm-hmm. So find influencers, reminder emails, mm-hmm. and making sure that we've got training for all of our developers.
Yep.
Thank you, Ya, very much for joining us today, for helping us explore how we can measure the impact that GitHub Copilot has on our organization, and also how to improve the rollout. If you want to learn more about Space Framework, you can check out the link that will have appeared on the screen or down below in the comments. If you want to see any of the research or anything like that, again, the link's in the comments below. And if you have any questions, please let us know. And thank you again to Ya, and thank you for joining 15 Minutes to Merge.